Hello, welcome to Homeopathic Services. My name is Pierre Fontaine. I've been a professional homeopath for the last 25 years. My second book, One Heart, One Mind, available on Amazon, details how I reverse cases of autism. It is illustrated with about 20 cases, and it details my surrogacy method, I call it, and been able to be plenty successful with that. I've posted many clips of cases on this channel, on this media here, and a lot of people have asked me questions about autism. What is autism? What causes autism? I thought I would type up answers as well as do a video of each one of those important and commonly asked questions. And I want to start not by what is autism, actually. I will do that. But today I want to start with, do people with autism diagnosis know they are autistic? So I've had some friends put all these questions. I'm actually writing answers, and here's my answer for this one. Do people with autism diagnosis know they are autistic? The number one, some children on the spectrum absolutely definitely know they are different from the neurotypical population. Okay, that's not to say they know they are autistic, but they definitely know they are different. And perhaps the parents are very open with it. Whatever, take a pick. That's a matter of opinion to let the child know. I know some children I have know, and some children don't know. Now, considering most of my practice is younger, they generally don't know, but they do know they are different from the neurotypical population. And all these answers, by the way, I have 6 different points, 5 or 6 different points, are taken. These answers are taken from the experience I have during consultation with the parents relating to their children. The number 2 is children who are most affected or more affected by or deeper on the spectrum may not be fully aware of their own limitations. Okay? For most of these children, the physical pain is actually so great that any thought of interaction is prevented by the 24/7, 365 pain, physical pain they suffer from. And a good percentage of these children, 24/7, 365, were born with pain. Okay, they were born with physical pain. And so the progression that should happen, or the development that should happen in a body, does not happen. And that's why some people now say autism starts in utero. I'll talk about the development in another question. There's another question that will come up. And I'll talk about the inner development, the development of the body, what is supposed to happen in the body regarding one of my favorite subjects, bacterial, fungal, and viral matter. That needs to develop in the body in order to have human development. So, but regarding number 2, 24/7, 365, the pain really combines with the nature of autism, which is that of disconnect, and creates a solo impetus of pain relief. Everything else is absent. Nothing else exists but the elimination or the dealing with physical pain. Only dealing with physical. Some children only deal with physical pain. They cannot express it. Crying is the way a baby generally expresses it, but nothing happens. The child is on his own. So the child kind of falls on his own from the nature of autism that is right there. It's kind of like I have pain and I'm on the spectrum. You automatically fall into disconnect. It's not like I have pain and I cry and someone is going to give me something that relieves it, or it is temporary. No, this is 24/7, 365. It's all the time and nothing can be done. And so therefore the child falls automatically in autism, because autism is already there. Number 3, while therapy seemed the right thing to do, constantly being forced to repeatedly achieve a goal without achieving it becomes counterproductive and often creates further frustration in the child. And when I say frustration, the child will disconnect. So, or again, we have this central aspect of autism. So if the child is autistic, that is the weakness. That is where the child is going to fall back. That's the fallback position, is disconnect. So if the child is very much pushed to achieve something, to make something happen, and cannot, then the child is going to withdraw even more. And the nature of a child is almost to please the parents, unless it's a Panda's case. But by and large, the nature of a child is to please the parents. So the child understands something should happen, but it's not happening. And so that drives a ginormous amount of frustration. But it is important to understand that trying to get this into a child, trying to get certain things in a child, is much like trying to get a person who's paralyzed to walk. It's just not going to happen just by forcing the issue. Okay, something else needs to happen. In my view, a homeopathic remedy, obviously, but it can very much be counterproductive. Number 4, the senses are commonly affected. That's also what was able to glean out of the surrogacy method. The senses are very much distorted. So the sense of smell or taste, of hearing or sight or touch are commonly affected, which create a distorted world view. The best way I can explain this is when you go to a dentist and you get this shot and you go, blah, 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 I don't know what I'm saying. But if you try to eat, when you leave, try to eat. You're not going to smell, you're not going to taste anything. It's going to be funny. Your food is going to fall out. On all senses, to a various amount of degree, to a various degree, that's what children experience at all time, a distortion of senses. Okay, and that is very, very important to know. I'm very proud of the fact that through surrogacy was able to figure this out. So I presented a case here of a child who would look at things very closely, and that was from the experience of the mother basically channeling the child. The child had to look closely in order to see clearly. Even though going to the eye doctor did not reveal this, from 2 to 4 feet, it was kind of like a ring of cloud. And beyond that, the child could see. Maybe not totally clearly, but beyond that, the child could see. So when someone is standing at 3 feet away, the child could not see very well at all. It was very, very blurry, kind of like in a fog. So he had to look up closely. So we were able to figure this out during case taking. That is fantastic. But imagine being in that situation and without very much interactive skills of speech or anything like that, then it's impossible to convey And so therefore, that's going to create a greater disconnect, because coming up closely is not socially acceptable. So in that sense, it becomes painful. And in that sense, for a child who's not deep on the spectrum, this child knows there is something wrong with me, if you will. I'm not neurotypical. I can't say I have to come up closely. An OCD is commonly present in children on the spectrum. And an OCD is also more for children on the spectrum. It's kind of like a mantra, a meditation that brings relief to the child. It may not be. I've had plenty of cases with really horrendous OCDs, but that's the best the child can do. It brings relief to the child. I'm not saying not to get rid of them. Very often one OCD will fall into another. But it is important to understand that children also need relief from therapies, if you will. So try to suppress it, because trying to suppress this creates more pain. And believe me, most children on the spectrum have enormous pain. That is why they have to run around, because the pain is so violent that they have to do it. It's not like they want to. They want to because they have to. But when we try to get rid of the OCD or understand the distortion of the senses, that one needs to look up very closely, and when you can't, then some children become very refractory or even violent to not being able to do the OCD, or not being able to have certain behaviors. You see, it feels, of course, I've had some parents say, it looks like it's crazy. It's really embarrassing. I get that. That screaming in the middle of the mall, no one wants that. That is the best a child can do. Because autism really, the key, beginning to understand, the beginning of understanding of autism is that it is a very painful, I've said, very heart-wrenching condition, and it is not well understood. It is the point of these videos to try to bring that understanding to light, to reverse autism. It's not B12 or supplements. I can't see this happening from time to time. Maybe relieve some peripheral symptoms, but we really need to reach deeply in order to lift this condition that is so debilitating. Because there are blocks. There's a block development in autism. Okay. And those can be removed and reversed once we reach very deeply. Reaching very deeply can be achieved in many different ways, not only through surrogacy. We can use the symptoms as well, but we have to use the symptoms in a very particular way, which becomes very complicated, but totally possible. We do it every single day. And that's the great thing about my job. Thank you so very much for listening. The website is homeopathic services.com. Take a look at it. Almost all the videos are there. Videos of Facebook are there. There's maybe some YouTube stuff as well. I talk a lot about autism. I love it. I love to be able to do something not only for the child, but for the parents. I will have next week another question like this. I think they bring home certain aspects I never talked about, or certain aspects that are talked about but in different videos. This is more concentrated. Thank you so very much for listening. I will talk about what is autism, I will talk about the causes of autism. I promised this a few weeks ago, but it's taking a little bit longer to really bring. I need to have more evidence, do more research. The research is out there. There's clearly certain aspects of autism that should be talked about, that are not talked about enough. We draw conclusion, just like this idea that all cases of autism starts in utero. I don't think so. That is not what shows up in the consultation room, and generally the percentages of what happens in the consultation room pretty much jive with what we know scientifically. Just like it reminds me, in One Heart, One Mind, I talk about shimmer DNA or shimmering DNA, and my percentage in the consultation room really matches what we know of shimmering DNA, which is 35% of all women have that. It's essentially a perfect match, give or take 1 or 2%. Anyway, I digress. I will have more videos for you. Thank you so very much for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.